Guys, I'm asking you to consider homage.com for all of your apparel needs. If you like these cool NBA Jam t-shirts like the one I'm wearing right here for the Philadelphia 76ers, there is a bevy of options at homage.com. And the great news about homage.com is I am an affiliate sponsor. The Cajun Cardboard channel is an affiliate sponsor of homage.com. And if you go into my YouTube description in the top right, you can click a link that'll direct you to homage.com, and then every purchase you make on the site supports the Cajun Cardboard channel. Hey guys, Brian with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana. And today, for the Michael Jordan Hierarchy Project, I have a special guest, a good friend of mine, Mike Pacini, hailing from the great state of Ohio, city of Columbus. He tells me that his wife and kids are out of town visiting relatives this weekend, so he's willing to go for about 6 hours today. So we're going to talk. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to talk for about an hour. Mike, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for having me. And if we pause for a second, you'll hear silence because I'm truly in my element right now with no kids.
Yeah. Listen, I've been there, right? I have 7 kids, as you know, 7 little Cajuns running around. Young kids are very loud, and sometimes Depeche Mode, I think, is who said enjoy the silence, right? Back in the 90s, to date myself. So I know what it's like to have a quiet house. It's almost like being on vacation. It's almost better than being on vacation, you know? So I'm glad you could join me today on the channel. First and foremost, let's talk about who Mike Pacini is. Who are you? Why are you on this channel? Why am I talking to you? Well, you're a good friend of mine. We've met through collecting Jordan cards, and I don't think we've ever met in person. I've only been to the Atlantic City show. Did we meet at Atlantic City? Did we get to talk?
No, we've never met. In fact, we were supposed to meet in New Orleans when we went on one of our baby moons.
That's right.
But I had to sadly cancel. So
that's right.
We got to find time. It's in Cleveland next year, so there's no excuses for me to miss the National next year. So we'll make
no excuse. We're going to you're going to Nashville. It's a drive for you. It's a flight for me, but I'll be there. You'll be there. We'll get to meet in person. I wish I'd have gotten to see you in Chicago this year. And yeah, next time you're in Louisiana, no excuses. We're going to hook up one way or the other. We'll make it happen for sure. Obviously, you had a good time in New Orleans. Nobody harvested your organs. You didn't get mugged or anything. So, yeah, it's good. At least you got there. You got home. And you looked to be safe and sound and all in one piece. So, good. I'm glad y'all had a fun time in New Orleans. Fun place to visit.
Yeah.
Unique place to live. We'll just leave it at that. We'll leave it at that, right?
Yeah, we stayed on Pearl Street versus Bourbon Street.
Yeah, exactly. Here's how you find Mike. Just let's get this out of the way first. Mike has created a card page called The Shrug MJ23, and his avatar matches as well. So great name, great hook line right there. Mike's got some of his heat posted on there, 7 pictures. None of these Jordans are irrelevant. All of these Jordans mean something. All of these Jordans are recognizable. A couple of them are monsters that I don't have in my collection, but I wish I had in my collection. We're going to talk a little bit more about Mike's cards. And he'll be able to show some on camera and then share some on screen as well. Mike, are you a vaulter at all, or you have everything in hand? Just out of curiosity.
Everything's in hand. I've never truly considered vault, but I understand the merits of it.
Yeah, and I say that. I try to be a really objective person and just kind of shoot it straight on the channel. I talk about it all the time. There's definitely pros and cons. Are there times where people ask me, don't you miss having it in your hand? Hell yeah. I miss having it in my hand. Because the one thing that this MJ Hierarchy Project's kind of reinforced with me, Mike, is that you can see things when you hold the card in your hand and you tilt and you swivel and you turn it over. You cannot see those no matter how high def your 2D images are. Some of those things go unnoticed. They're undetectable. And sometimes it looks like a completely different card when I show what I have in my vault. And then, our mutual friend Josh will show what he has in his hand. The color doesn't look the same. There are things that you can see, the embossing you can tell. 2D will never compete with 3D, no matter how good the 2D images are. So there's always pros and cons to that for sure. So the other thing I wanted to share about Mike, some of you guys know, and I just happen to not be wearing one today, but I am an affiliate sponsor of a company that Mike is a part owner of. And again, I forgot your title, but it sounded really important. And it canvases the entire United States. Mike works for a company. Is it Homage or Homage? I should probably pronounce it correctly.
You can say Homage.
Okay, let's say Homage. I've always said Homage because I feel like it's easier for the average person in Louisiana to spell Homage if you pronounce the H than if you don't. But nobody in Louisiana pronounces anything the way it's supposed to be anyway, and we certainly don't spell things the same way. So we'll say homage.com. I've got that on screen share. So this is what the site looks like. Homage is a company that's got licenses with many, if not all, of the Major League Baseball, NFL, and NBA teams. Mike works directly with those teams to get Homage apparel into their team gift shops and distribute through those teams. They do an amazing job. First of all, start with the material. Mike, I tell people it feels like pouring warm pudding on your body. Like it when I got those shirts that you guys sent me, and thank you, by the way, those are freaking badass. When I put those on my body, it felt like I had owned those shirts for 10 years, but they looked brand new. So they felt 10 years old, but they looked brand new, which is like the perfect blend. Tell me about how the fabric, and I know I sound like a dork here, but I am literally a t-shirt fiend. I mean, I love wearing basketball t-shirts. I'm a basketball lifer and AAU coach, so they matter to me. Tell me about the fabric. How do you describe the fabric?
Well, the fabric it's a tri-blend,
Okay.
and the idea behind it is to just create a soft t-shirt that stands the test of time, because what's primarily out there, like if you look in the vintage tee market, they were all cotton tees, heavy tees. And so while we take a vintage inspired take with our designs, we wanted to have more of a modern t-shirt with more of a modern fit. So that's the t-shirt. That's the essence of it. And our shirt is our own shirt. So we're not buying a Gildan or a Champion tee and
Yeah.
labeling with our branding. It's 100% unique to Homage.
Where's Homage located? Where's the headquarters?
We're in Columbus, Ohio. That's where our headquarters are. And then we do have some brick and mortar stores in Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Columbus.
I gotcha. And I was telling you, by the way, how cool is that Bo Jackson shirt right there? Right. It's 86 tops traded, right? That's big time right there. I just noticed that one. I hadn't seen that one yet. But Homage, the site's easy to navigate. And Mike would probably be happy if people had questions about Homage. I've got an affiliate link in my YouTube description. If y'all ever want to buy stuff, just click on my link, go in, buy till you can't buy anymore. But they've got all your teams. And so regardless of if for some reason, you're still a Brooklyn Nets fan, they've got your Brooklyn Nets covered. If you're a Nuggets fan, you front runners and you bandwagon people, they got that. If you like the best team in the NBA, the Milwaukee Bucks, like me, then they've got that for you. So you can search by team. You don't necessarily even have to be an NBA fan, even though that's all I care about and all I talk about. You can go through here. They've got all the MLB teams. They've got the NFL in here. They even have pop culture. I don't know if you're going to have Barbie stuff in here. Apparently, that's really popular with the teenage kids, boys and girls. I don't get it. Have you seen that? Have you been forced to see that movie yet?
I probably won't see it.
Okay, don't see it. I need you to help make a stand with me. Don't go see that stupid movie. I did see Oppenheimer, which was pretty sobering and a pretty interesting movie.
I did watch that. That was good.
Yeah, pretty interesting. So that's it. So Mike's with Homage. Homage is a great company. I wear their shirts pretty much every episode, other than the one that I happen to have the guy that works for Homage on the show. So shame on me.
You want to pander?
Yeah, we're here to talk about Jordan cards. This is part of the Jordan Hierarchy Project. Mike, I know you collect Jordan cards. I know you know your stuff. Give us your general collecting story. Start from the jump, man. How old are you? When did you start collecting? Give us the whole spiel, in about a minute, 2 minutes or less, because everybody seems to have the same story. They collected as a kid. They found girls. They went to college. They stopped. They got back. They did it. Talk to us.
Yeah, we all are part of that same support group. But I started in '92, living in Orlando. Shaq got drafted, and he was on every billboard, and so he was you couldn't contain his presence in the city. So that's what got me to collect. And then we drafted Penny. I identified more than him. He was a Nike athlete, had shoes, whatnot, and collected Penny. And then Jordan retired, and I did lose a little bit of interest. But then when he came back, I started ramping up my collecting again. Then Kobe got drafted. And then when the 96-97 season hit and those cards released, that's when I really fell in love with collecting cards and have basically collected ever since. Although, I probably did take a 4 or 5 year break in there, but I would still follow the Jordan card market, but have essentially collected 90s and exclusively 90s since the 90s. I'd never dabbled into the 2000s.
You never transitioned. So no Panini era stuff for you, not even any Topps Chrome stuff from the early 2000s.
No, nothing like that. The lone exception was when we drafted Dwight Howard. I thought, okay, this is like the second coming of Shaq. And so I collected a few Dwight Howard cards, and then it just didn't stick. And so and then
He was a catastrophic oversight for the 75th anniversary. Say what you want about Dwight Howard, like about how bad a shooter he was and
yeah,
how much a pain in the ass and how weird he was and some of the weird off the court stuff. But that dude belonged on the top 75 team. If you just look at his paper resume, the guy belonged on that team. And I think it was a terrible oversight to leave him off personally. How does the city feel about Dwight Howard? Because I mean, I know it never ends right? You almost never do athletes end it right with the city
yeah.
that they were drafted by.
We've re-embraced Shaq. We never thought that would happen. Dwight Howard, where there's still a lot of distance between us and him. He's got to retire and get his Hall of Fame nod, and then
time heals.
Yeah.
Time heals, man. Time heals. And we always remember players more fondly after they've stopped playing for like 4 or 5 years. It never fails. Like people didn't love Kobe when he retired, by the way. There's a lot of Kobe haters, and now it's like everybody loves Kobe. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It all seems to sort itself out. So talk to me about your collection. So your collection is literally almost 100% 90s stuff.
It is. And I used
Pretty
to
cool.
collect from 92 to 99, and I've narrowed that down to just 96, 97, and 98, because that's when I was ripping wax at the local card store, and those cards just have the most fondness for me. So
it's a pretty damn good 3-year period, right? If
Yeah.
you're going to collect 3 years, that's 3 pretty damn good years to choose from, especially if you're a basketball collector. Are you all basketball? Do you mess with baseball and football, or just all basketball?
Just basketball, and just Jordan at this point. And I just want to mention one thing real quick.
Yeah.
90, maybe you can say 92 to 99, but I think that is and will always be the golden era of trading cards. I don't care what happens in the future. You can look back and define golden eras pretty easily. You can say that the golden era of boxing has passed, jazz has passed, horse racing has passed, alternative rock. Like we had that golden era, and I think the golden era. I think we got to live through it with the 90s basketball cards.
Yeah. I know I got to live through it in my prime, and I played basketball through it, competitively and, as a pickup basketball player. 1992 for me, I was 18, Mike, in 1992. And that year to me was like the mountaintop with the dream team, with me transitioning from a high school player to a college player, really starting to take my craft seriously and work on it and get better at it. 92 was special. Now, the cards, obviously, in 92, while there's some great cards out there, especially for Shaq, they and some decent Jordan inserts as well, as we'll talk about, I'm sure. The cards, that is not the peak year for probably the most collectible 90s cards. It's probably in your 3-year window. Pick one. It's probably somewhere in that 96, 97, 98, probably 97. Is that what you think? You think so too? I think from a 90s basketball card collecting standpoint, what's the peak year? What's the best year if you're a Jordan collector, you're a Kobe collector, you're a Penny collector, those guys?
My favorite year is 96, but I think the peak year is 97.
Yeah, I think so too.
No question.
I think so too.
Your tiers that you
put together. I mean, even if my tiers are wrong, they're close at least. And a hell of a lot of cards start with 1997 on them. Right? Yeah. We know that. We know that for sure. So talk to me. So your collection, when you're buying Jordan cards now, you're primarily focused on 96, 97, and 98. And like we said, that's 3 of the best years ever. It can get very pricey. Are you a grade snob like me? Are you a raw collector? Does that even factor in? Would you rather find the 9 that you want or the 10 that you want? Or would you rather find the 8 that you want and buy 7 8s instead of buying 1 PSA 10? Tell me how your thought process is with that, because it's interesting, because all the different Jordan collectors that I talk to, everybody does it differently. You and I do it differently, but we communicate because we share so many common interests. Talk to me about that.
So I used to have a uniform PSA 9 collection. Every card that I had to be a PSA 9, and it had to look like a PSA 9. I would labor over PSA 9s and compare them, and there's always a difference. You can always find one that looks better than the other. So after a while, I realized, you know what? I can find 8s that look like 9s, and there's 9s that look like 8s. So I'm gonna have some 9s and I'm gonna have some 8s, and I'll be a happy camper. So it's a mix of both.
I transitioned into that method of thinking. It sounds like you were all 9s or nothing. So you had a little bit of the OCD stuff I had. Well, I used to be 10s and 9.5s or nothing. And then as I got more educated and listened to guys like you and listened to some of these other guys that we're friends with, I started to realize, well, I'll never be able to get the best Jordan cards because the best Jordan cards in the world probably either don't exist in a 10. I can't afford them in a 10. They may not exist in a 9.5. Some of the greatest Jordan cards, the most sought after cards in the world, simply do not exist in those grades. And so if I am a grade snob to the extent where I will only take those gem mint grades, then I will not be one of the higher end Jordan collectors in the world because I can't get the most important cards. So I gravitated and I started picking up the 8s. I skipped over 9s. I went down to 8s because I was like, you know what? One day, God forbid, I'm going to have to sell one day, right? And so if I ever sell all these high-end Jordans in 9.5 and 10, I would really love to have an 8s collection to fall back on, right? Just so I can continue to be a collector. 9s and 0.5s and 10s, that's fine. There's big money there. But the 8s is so much fun because I could go pick up 6, by the time, night strikes on the clock. Whereas if you're always looking for 10s and you're looking for high end, you're going to have to add a 0 and it's going to get really cost prohibitive. And your pace of growing your collection is going to be so much slower. And so I've kind of figured out a way to kind of like balance that. And so I love the idea of going 8s and 9s. And look, tell me if you agree with me. Nobody can tell the difference between an 8 and 9. I don't care who you are. If you say, oh, that's an 8 or that's a 9 or they've got this wrong or that, I mean, you can look at it and you can conjecture, but like there's no rhyme or reason. When you send something to PSA, it's going to be an 8 or a 9 and nobody can possibly predict what it's going to be.
Yeah, great points. And that's what I love about it is that you can really, for anybody, if you love the card, you can find it, in any grade based on your budget.
Yeah. And then that's the other thing that's part of the reason I created this hierarchy project is I wanted to stress to people, I wanted to eliminate the barrier to entry, which is, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't even know where to begin. Well, now at least there's a little framework of where to begin. It's probably not for people like you or some of the more savvy, experienced collectors in the Jordan world. This is more for people that were just scared to dip their toes in the water because they didn't even know where to start. It would be like me starting to collect hockey. I would have no idea in hell where to start collecting hockey. I'd probably start with Gretzky and I'd probably start in the 90s because that's what I know. But like, I would have no idea where to start. I was hoping to create a simple framework to give people a graphical illustration of the possibilities and let them just kind of take it from there. And it's kind of grown into something bigger, obviously. Have you looked at it? Have you gotten to watch some of the videos that Josh and I do and some of the people that have come on and kind of look at some of the tiers and some of the cards?
Yeah, I've watched them all. I've looked at the tiers over and over and over again. And
what do you think? Give me. Okay. Don't pull any punches, Mike. Right? You're safe in Ohio. I'm down here in Louisiana. No matter what you think, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm curious because I respect your opinion, and I know you've been collecting Jordan longer than I have. Anything that stands out, anything where you're like, not a tier 1 card. I've got tier 1 pulled up here, right? 27 cards. It feels like it's been a year since we filmed this tier 1 video because we're in tier 4, like part 5 now. So it's a long way off. But anything in tier 1 that you look at and say, Brian, you got it wrong. That does not belong in tier 1.
Well, you've definitely created an opportunity for great debate here. And when I look at tier 1, I think to myself, this could actually be 3 tiers in its own, but we're not trying to rewrite history here.
Yeah.
But so if we're sticking within this tier as is, I'm saying goodbye to grand finale and starting 5. And I'm saying hello.
Son of a bitch. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm saying hello to 97 Platinum and 61 Fleer Classic 61.
Fleer Classic 61. Which one? You got to choose. There's 2 of them, Mike. That's part of the reason. That's part of the reason it didn't make it into tier 1. There's 2 of them. It's not even 1. It's really should be called Fleer 122. Is what they should call it. That's what it should be called. Classic 122. I'm with you on the starting 5. Okay, I was torn on that. That was. It's not coincidental if that was in the bottom right of the page, and it was card number 27 on the list of pack odds. I struggled with that one a little bit for a few reasons. Obviously, the real versus fake concerns, the fact that you never see it, the fact that, the demand on that card, while there are a small handful of people on earth that would really like to put an authentic starting 5 in their collection, and there's only 5 of them in the world, the demand is still very small, I think, because I think almost anybody who's anybody would prefer the other 26 cards on this page to that card aesthetically. I'm with you on the platinums. That was really, really difficult to distinguish between the legacy collection sets and the platinum medallions. That was really tough, man. Why so much vitriol and hatred for the grand finale? What is your problem, man?
Well, I just love the Fleer Classic 61 a little bit better. And then
Yeah,
the difference between the gold version and the grand finale version is negligible. So you can sometimes not even tell on a scan. So,
sure.
would you could spend, 1/100th and get the gold. And it's not serial numbered, but it's die cut just the same. And there's just one layer of gold, which is over the face. I believe that's the only difference between the two. So that's my argument to swap.
It's interesting that so many, in the group chat that we're in, so many, again, I must continue to reiterate this. I feel like a student in a group chat with a bunch of teachers. And so I just want to lay that out there. I am always fascinated by how differing the opinions are from so many experienced Jordan collectors. And there's just such a disparity on certain cards, like the starting five. The 61s are kind of a hot topic. Different people feel very differently about those cards. I mean, going back to tier one, there's people in our group who have no interest whatsoever. These are people with $1 million collections. They have no interest whatsoever in a 1986 Fleer Michael Jordan rookie card. They just do not. It does not interest them in any way, shape, or form. And that's fascinated me because I've always felt that was a compulsory card. Like, I have to have that card in some. I mean, I have a nice one, but I have to have it in some grade in my collection, or I'm not a Jordan collector. I feel the need to have that card. Some people, they don't even acknowledge it because it's just simply not scarce and not rare enough. And it's funny how we evolve as Jordan collectors, and how, you and I just shared a story about how you evolved. You were all nines, now you're nines and eights. I was all Gem Mint, now I'm pretty much whatever the hell shows up, right, that I don't have. So it's funny how we evolve as well. What about Jordan autographs? No Jordan autographs for you?
I'm waiting for the right autograph to come my way. I do have a jersey autographed by him, Upper Deck authenticated jersey from the 96-97 season. That's got the gold logo man, which is really nice. But autographs on cards just scare me because of the idea that they could fade over time.
Yep. So
that would kill me if that happened. So
yeah, that scares me. What it also scares me is I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. I don't know anything about autographs, and I'm a self-professed autograph idiot. In fact, I only have 2 Jordan autographs. Well, I had 2 Jordan autographs. I traded one of them away to Andy at the Indy B-Ball Exchange at the National to get a Molten Metal Fusion back. So now I have 1 Jordan autograph card in my entire collection. One day I feel that I will take that plunge. I'm scared. I'm scared of the financial consequences of when I do take that plunge. I'm also scared of how many questions I'm going to have for somebody who knows about that. Our friend Justin is probably going to get, a barrage of questions for me about what the hell am I doing here and where do I even start? Yeah, that's interesting. No exquisite. Do you have an interest in exquisite? I know you've shut it down and you've said, hey, here's my years, here's my focus. But like, do you ever feel that urge to be pulled into exquisite? I feel it.
Well, the urge is there. Like, even with 86 Fleer, I went and got an 86 rookie, an 8.5, and then a 8 sticker. Had them, and I just didn't feel the love, so I let them go. And then same with exquisite. I bought one, let it simmer, and then realized just wasn't for me. So
you didn't feel it. Yeah. I did something similar, Mike, with a 61 Fleer Wilt. I had a 61 Fleer Wilt, like mid-grade, like a PSA 6 or something like that. I was really excited when I got it. And then, when prices jumped a little bit, I was like, it's not the best Wilt in the world. It's not even a very, very high-end Wilt. I can always go back and buy it. And so I decided to move it and put it into a Jordan card that I didn't have. I just felt differently about that card. And I think that's okay. And I think that's a really important observation and trait in the hobby, is that cards don't have to remain in your PC forever. People are labeled as flippers or whatever, whenever they sell cards, but like, part of the hobby is transitioning your collection into the stuff that you want the most, and what you want the most can sometimes change from week to week to certainly year to year. So I don't think there should be a negative stigma attached to deciding, you know what, I'm going to put my money somewhere else. I've even done it within Jordan because I was stacking a bunch of 86 Fleers and I was like, this is boring as hell, man. It might be great financially and it might work out in the long run, but it's not as fun. That's when I got into the 90s stuff and met all of you fine gentlemen and started to get educated on it. What else? Anything else? Show us what you got in your hands. Let's look at some of your cards. We're at the 25-minute mark. Let's just start flashing some Jordan heat, man.
Well, on this podcast, I'd like to say goodbye to a tier 1 card that's going to end up in the hands of another MJ Fellas member. So he knows it's coming, but I'll let him reveal who he is at some point. But this one's headed to another chat member, the 96 Legacy. To me, like, these are the most beautiful cards in hand. They've got this incredible matte finish on the back, which obviously it just looks like it's black and white, but in hand, it's beautiful. That was, a nice touch they did for the Legacy collection. It's the first ever serial numbered Michael Jordan parallel card of all time. That's got significance. And then I'll be able to survive because I have this one that will, keep me happy.
Yeah.
This one has to go, but this is probably my favorite card of all time. In fact,
hold on. No, you're not going to get off the hook that easy. I'm not asking you who you're moving it to or for how much. I'm not going to be a dork like that. But like, if you're moving a tier 1 Jordan card, you're getting something in return.
Not in this transaction. I'm not.
Okay.
Well, I'm getting money in return.
You're building funds for, you've got something. Okay. All right. There's got to be more to the story here. So finish the story. Like, you're building funds for something. You're looking at something. Don't share it. Obviously, because when it comes to tier 1 stuff, if you've got dibs on one, you need to make sure you keep that close to the vest, especially with the guys that we hang out with. But like, is that the plan? You're moving one of those Legacy collections in anticipation of maybe picking up another card down the road?
Yeah, I'll give you a hint. It's also the card that will be acquiring is also on tier 1. And I'm going to throw a wrench. It's on it's on the far left column.
Ooh, is it a Playmaker's Theater?
You can probably eliminate one of those cards.
No offense, Mike. I know you do well with homage, but I can eliminate one of those cards, my man, because I've eliminated it from my radar as well. And so you're looking at either a Playmaker's Theater or Jambalaya, 2 cards I don't have, and 2 cards that I would love to have. So just tell me who it is that has it, and then I can reach out to them. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, look, either one of those are big time pickups. I tried to kind of invite our good friend, his initials are JL, to discuss his Jambalaya, but his Jambalaya was elite, man, with a couple of 10 subgrades. And I was like, man, that's not my style. I'm going to end up paying a crazy premium for those subgrades, but I know it's an unbelievable, beautiful, clean copy. Apparently somebody's Jambalaya BGS 9.5 with 2 10 subs just recently crossed over to a PSA 10, which is a huge financial boon.
Yeah,
that's a big deal.
It's a monster card. In person, it's magnificent.
Yeah, great card. Well, I know that before my Jordan journey is over, I will have that Jambalaya card my sweet spot grade is a BGS 9.5 Min Gem. For whatever reason, I feel like it's not serial numbered. I feel like I need to have that card in a BGS 9.5. That just feels like the right grade. Maybe it's because corners usually get a 10 subgrade, so it's the 9.5 is more attainable. With the Playmakers Theater, I feel like I need that card in any grade. I don't care what the grade is for some reason. Maybe it's because it's serial number to 100. It's just that much. It seems more elusive. Both rare cards, both clear tier 1 cards. They both belong here. Everybody would agree with that. But the Playmakers Theater is just a monster in any grade, man. Any grade. Man, that's exciting, Mike. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and you mentioned, PSA BGS. Like, some cards do look better in BGS 9.5 slabs than they do PSA 10 slabs, and some those look better in the PSA slab for whatever reason. I only collect PSA, so I'm beholden to that, but sometimes I envy how good cards look in BGS slabs.
Mike, are you a participant on the PSA set registry?
I am not, no.
Yeah, I'm not either. When you said you were PSA primarily or exclusively, I was worried. So, is your whole collection all PSA?
It's all at this point.
Wow. Okay, you've definitely got some of my OCD tendencies, man. Yeah, you definitely got some of what I got. I like it. Okay, so we're on the same wavelength as far as that goes. Show me some other heat, man. Show us some other great stuff. So you showed us 2 Legacy collections. One's on the way out the door for a bigger acquisition, which is scary because the Legacy is a pretty big acquisition. What else we got?
All right, this is my favorite card of all time. Speaking of heat, it's the 96 Hot Shots, and I used to own a BGS 9.5, and it did look really good in a BGS case. And I acquired it from our friend Chris McGill in a trade.
Okay.
I traded him the Classic 61 for the 9.5 Hot Shots and some cash. And this was a while ago. I want to say it was pre-pandemic, right before that happened. But he was very persistent in wanting to land that card because I know for like him that is without question a tier 1 card. So
yeah.
And then I eventually downgraded that 9.5 to a PSA 9, got some cash, and was able to fund other Jordans. So that was kind of the route that I took to get to that 9. This card right here is probably the most important card in my collection for a number of reasons. But you can't imagine what it was like seeing this in a 1997 Beckett when Upper Deck was, basically announcing that they were going to bring this card to the world, in a Beckett with an image. And the odds of 1 in 2,500 seemed so astronomical back then because no other card even came close to that. There were some difficult cards to pull, and of course there's serial number cards, but it's so much easier to focus on cards that have odds versus cards that have serial numbers.
For sure.
There's a clear target there. So 1 in 2,500 seemed absolutely insane. And then to make matters worse, Upper Deck couldn't secure a Jordan jersey, even though Jordan was a minority owner, still couldn't secure one through Jordan. So he didn't make it into Series 1. And so you had to wait even longer for Series 2 to release. And then they couldn't secure a Bulls jersey, just the 91-92 All-Star jersey, which is no big deal. But that All-Star game was in Orlando. I'm from Orlando. So this card was always, to me, considered the most unattainable card, even more than PMG Green at the time. I thought I could acquire that card before I could acquire this card. And then, of course, the autograph version, which I would love so bad to be able to own. But, that's become a 7-figure card. And that autograph doesn't look great on the card. It's thin and streaky, but that card is absolutely insane. And what they used to do back then was they would tell you exactly where the jersey was procured and what game it was. So
if only, man, if only they still did things this way. God,
that
would be helpful.
Did it all through the 97-98 set and through the first series of the 98-99 game you set. If you look on the back, it'll say jerseys were worn in the 96 season, 97 season, then they stopped doing it in the series 2. So that adds a special layer to knowing what season that a particular jersey was worn in. I wish they would get back to that, but I think it's become too big to be able to.
Mike, break down, and again, just like autographs, I don't know what I'm talking about. When it comes to game jerseys, talk me through it. There's a 96 game jersey, 97 game jersey, 98 game jersey? Is that right? 3 years?
So there's 96. Sorry, there's no 96.
I'm sorry, 97, 98, 99?
And 99, yeah. Those are the 3 banner years before it became ubiquitous in every set, where game use just took over for inserts. Right. So those years are particularly special. The 98 set, Jordan's jersey was from the 92-93 season. So his last season before he retired and the season that he won MVP and beat Charles Barkley and the Phoenix Suns in the 93 finals. So just knowing that's really cool that that jersey is 6 years old at that point.
That's the 98 you're talking about, the middle year.
98 set, yeah.
Okay. And so they have different colors, though, because I've seen different colors. No?
So the 97 set, most of the non-autograph versions just white swatches, but the other ones have multicolor because the graphic was sublimated onto the design. It wasn't a patch.
Okay.
Like that is now. Everything's a patch, nothing's sublimated. And then the 98 set, you can see variations of black and white, which are technically from the number or some of the trim, but they're not multicolored, and there's always going to be suspicion around a patch that wasn't in a patch designated set. So I usually stick with just the red swatch.
And then as far as the game jersey autos go, is there a 97, 98, 99 also for game jersey autos?
Yeah, in 98 there's I think 5 or 6 different variations, all numbered to 23, all released in different Upper Deck products, but under the Upper Deck branding. So if something was released in Upper Deck Encore, it doesn't have Encore branding, it's just the basic Upper Deck branding.
Got it.
SPX was just an Upper Deck version.
That whole deal is. I'm gonna cross that threshold at some point. God forbid. It's probably gonna be out of reach by the time I decide to get into that. But I've always, that card just looks so good. Hold that card up again. Show that card.
It's really clean. I mean, the pattern on the card itself.
Yeah, it looks like a mesh jersey background. Like I know the jersey is mesh, but I'm saying the background looks like it's like a jersey within a jersey is what it looks like.
Yeah, and then look at the swatch. It's a huge swatch. So
huge.
It's got the All-Star logo, the gold foil. I'm telling you, if you're ever going to dip your toes, you should start with that for sure.
That's where to start. Yeah, for sure. What else? Show us some more great stuff.
Okay. I love I didn't even know what the word lenticular was in 96 and 97. It wasn't even being used. And then I just feel like it's become part of the.
There it is. The hot number. It's got to be a hot number.
I love.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I love those types of cards. The 96 Thrill Seekers included, which the 96 Thrill Seekers in particular, like when you're looking at card odds, some cards are hobby and retail, some are hobby only, some are retail only. I love cards that are hobby only and retail only because you're basically cutting distribution in half and being able to pull that card. So the 96 Thrill Seekers is hobby only, which means no one who was buying boxes at Walmart and Target had a chance of pulling that card. And so I love that. It makes it a little bit more rare. And that's something that kind of gets lost when you're talking about rarity and odds.
Yeah. You talking about big men on court?
The 96 Thrill Seekers.
Oh, 96 Thrill Seekers. Yeah. I got you.
Yeah, but I mean, that was just another lenticular card. But, these ones, obviously, really great cards. I'm a big fan of history. I've traveled around the world. My wife's family lives in Macedonia, which is a little small country north of Greece. And so I love this card in particular. I'm also Italian. Yeah. You see these columns everywhere you go in Europe, and the Parthenon and Athens is iconic. This is a fairly easy card to pull, 1 in 96. But if this was like most Jordan cards, if this was a more difficult pull, it'd be worth a lot more. But to me, it looks like a much rarer card than what
it does. Tier 2 or tier 3 card? What do you think? I got it in tier 3.
I mean, I would probably personally have it in tier 2, but it's probably a tier 3 card.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one that kept me up at night because you didn't give this card much love.
Oh, God, here we go. You know how many messages I get from freaking Yahoos telling me that my hot numbers needs to be in tier 2? Go ahead. Show me what you got. What is this?
It's the Scoring Kings Plus.
Dude, it's a bitch of a card. Demand is the only reason. Because, look, dude, I'm telling you, I know what you know about that card. That's a bitch to find at any grade. But, Mike, I'm telling you, you'll be surprised how many people don't care about any Scoring Kings except the first one.
I know. It's a victim of that.
It's our job. It's our job to blare the trumpets and beat our chest and tell people it's an awesome card, man. It is a really awesome card. Tell me about it.
There's very few exceptions where the sequel's better. Terminator 2, Godfather 2. Scoring Kings 2 is not better than the original, but to me, it's so rare. Just look at the pop report. You brought up how rare it is, and it's 100% foil that's etched in certain areas, and you can't tell on a scan, but like the K is fully etched. It's a really beautiful card in person. It reflects nicely in light when you tilt it. And so to me, it's a tier 2 card. It's a 30 card set too. And I know you talked about that.
That makes your pack odds go
4 times 10,
Right.
20. So it's a 30 card set, hobby only. And just for whatever reason, not many have been graded, and it's really hard to grade. So I absolutely love that card.
Mike, I asked Josh this question, and we didn't really know the answer. Hot Packs, the Hot Pack stamp was stamped on a bunch of different cards, including the other Scoring Kings card. Why did they opt for plus on that Scoring Kings as opposed to just Hot Packs? Do you have any insight on that?
The plus technician is kind of lame. Like Slam Bams is a cooler name than.
Is there another plus out there? You know what I'm saying? Like, is there another deal where they distinguished an insert parallel by simply saying plus? That's the only one that I can think of.
I think they were just ahead of their time. Everything now is plus, Apple Plus, Google Plus, like everything's plus now.
Right. Well, Star Power Plus exists, but that was
Oh, yeah,
like
you're right.
the
There you go.
middle child of the Star Power inserts. But I just thought it was odd. I never really understood that. It was just one of those questions that I woke up in the middle of the night like, wait, this doesn't make sense. Did I do something wrong? Plus, Scoring Kings Plus. But man, the Scoring Kings base and Scoring Kings Plus, those two are tough. Those are tough pack odds, and they need to be on people's radar if they're not on people's radar for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus, you're right. The Plus was a bad name from the marketing side of things. They should have called it something else.
What else? Anything else? You got anything else to share with us?
Yeah, I'll show one last card. I'll show the High Voltage 500, which is a really incredible card. And, it's been stated before that this was a 99-cent pack. And so chances are a lot of these got discarded or, are stuck in.
Do you think that's true? Do you think they got discarded, or do you think there was a mistake in the distribution of them, or maybe the manufacture of them, where not all 500 weren't manufactured? Because what I know. I mean, we've looked at the pop report, and you've looked at the pop report. It just doesn't add up like the other cards. Like there's other cards that are serial number to 1,000 or serial number to 500, and then you've got this percentage of them that have been graded historically. They're about the same age. It seems like there should be this many in the pop report, but for the High Voltage 500, it just seems woefully short of where it should be. You know what I mean?
I believe less than 20% have been graded, which
that's not there's it's not that cheap of a pack, and it doesn't look like a base card. And by the way, it's got Michael Jordan on it. So your theory about people just tossing them in the garbage or leaving them in white boxes, I don't know if I'm buying it. It's a pretty spectacular card.
I don't know. Any theories on the table still, this much time has passed. We'll probably never know, but it's fun to speculate. But I just, I love when you can pull such iconic cards out of such cheap packs. Kind of like Star Quest Gold is another great example of that. There's just not many incredible cards you could have pulled at the time out of cheap packs.
Collector's choice, hoops, stuff like that. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I like to think, Mike, that perhaps there's a hot box out there with like 75 High Voltage 500 Jordans just sitting in it where, oops, we made a mistake. We put them all in the same box. No, probably not going to work. I don't know. One can dream. That's a card I definitely got to pick up, man. I got to put that one. If you had to pick a card, let's see. I'll pull the screen up here. If you had to pick a card, it sounds like you're working on one of these two bad boys over here on the left. Let's move to tier 2. If there's a card on tier 2 that you don't own that you would probably put on your radar as maybe your next target, is anything on here that comes to mind that you don't have that you need?
It's the Fusion out of 250. The 1 out of 40 is probably unattainable from a cost standpoint. So
it's a bitch.
Fusion 250, and to me, it's like if I can get that card, it's the best of Platinum Portraits and the Fusion Titanium. So that's probably next.
That's ironically, I just told the story about trading my Jordan autograph card with Andy B-Ball Exchange. That's the card I got back. I got back a BGS 9 Titanium serial number to 250. So it was an even swap. It just happened they both were right on the number 10. They were both $10,000. I was like, you take this, you want this one, I want that one. They're both $10,000. Boom. And we did a trade in 90 seconds for two $10,000 cards. And it was like beautiful. And I was like, man, you're my kindred spirit. You're like a younger, better version of me. And you collect the same way, but only you do that better too. I was like, I need to stay in touch with you. And so I'm going to get Andy on the channel too, as well. Man, I'm sorry I missed you at the National. Hopefully you have no excuse for not being in Cleveland. So you're going to be in Cleveland. And I'm going to bring up a crew from Louisiana for Cleveland for sure. And then it's back to Chicago. How far is Columbus, Ohio from Chicago, Illinois? That's not that far.
It's honestly not that far. You can get there in 5.5 hours. Cleveland's 2 hours away. I just wasn't able to go I had made plans that got in the way. So, I'm still watching on Instagram and I'm seeing, it's almost like I'm there, but I'm not. And, I'm missing out on dinners and hanging out with you guys was the biggest miss.
Yeah, I wish we could have had you there because it was good to spend some time with some of our mutual friends that I don't ever get to see because I'm so excited because there is a card show in New Orleans, and it's going to be the biggest card show in Louisiana history, and it's 200 tables, and that's the biggest in history. So I am, Saturday I got my kids' soccer stuff, and then I'm heading straight down to New Orleans. I can't wait. It's an actual, real Louisiana card show. We do have shows in Baton Rouge, and I don't mean to disparage those, but it's about 35, 40 tables, and just not really the stuff that you and I like to collect from the 90s. It's primarily shiny stuff or super vintage stuff. And so I'm hoping that there will be a hint of some 90s stuff down there in Louisiana, and maybe I can find some gold down there in my state, which is rarely the case. Dallas is the closest thing for us here in Louisiana to a big show, and Dallas is a big show. Dallas is awesome. I had a great time last year when I went to the Dallas show. But like, you're right in the middle of everything, man. You've got to be a drive away from a bunch of good shows all the time.
All the time. There's shows in Ohio all the time. And being in the Midwest, you're so close to a bunch of good big cities: Pittsburgh, Detroit, Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Chicago.
Yeah.
But that's all 2 to 5 hour drives. So great.
So you're from Orlando, and you're an Orlando fan. So let's talk for a few minutes before we let you go about Orlando. Talk to me about Orlando, where they're at right now. You think they're on the cusp? Are they a playoff team this coming season? Can they sneak into the play-in?
Yeah. I still wish the play-in didn't exist, but they could sneak in. I'm a traditionalist. I love the top 8, and I think they can be a top 8 team without a doubt.
Do you expect them to be a top 8 team, or do you think and hope they can be a top 8 team? Which is it? Because those are two different things.
Okay, I think they'll be a top 8 team then.
I think they're right there. I think they're in that 8 to 10 range. I do. The talent is there. I think just figuring out who. I feel like this year is an audition. It's almost like a tryout. We've talked a little bit about it before we hit the record button, but Banchero is a fixture. Wagner is a keeper. Figuring out the, Cole Anthony. I'm going to forget somebody. Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz. There's one more point guard that's relevant and good. Who is it? Jalen Suggs.
And drafted one with the 6th pick, Anthony Black.
And Anthony Black, who's like a 6'8" point guard or something crazy, right? Kind of like an Elfrid Payton type is, I think, what they were thinking. It's going to be interesting. Those guys are going to play their way in or out of that organization. And then what's the deal with Bol Bol? I loved Bol Bol. I thought he was great, and he was on a great contract, and I just thought he was a guy that you could bring in off the bench and block a bunch of shots, and the fans had to love him. What's the deal with him? Did he do something wrong? Did he sleep with the owner's daughter or something? What the hell? They just sent him packing. They're like, we don't need you. You're 7 foot, and you can shoot threes and block everything and handle the ball a little bit. They're like, get out of here.
Well, no, he was the fan favorite, and because I work in licensed apparel, I have insight into how jerseys sell. He was the 3rd best-selling jersey for the Magic. It was Paolo, Franz, and Bol Bol. But the Magic just had the problem of having too many good young players, and they just made the decision to let him go.
Yeah,
for whatever reason. But I'm glad he landed with the Nuggets. I think he'll fit in nicely there. And
the rich get richer. Jeez.
Yeah. Or not the Nuggets. Was it the Suns?
I thought it was I thought it was the Suns.
Sorry, the Suns. He used to play for the Nuggets.
And the Suns need players. The Suns need bodies because they got a lot of money tied up in 4 dudes, man. But they need bodies. I think they're going to be all right. The Suns will be – depth is going to be the issue with the Suns. But when you get to the playoffs, depth doesn't matter quite as much as just having the studs, man. The team with the most talent usually wins. So we'll see how that goes. All right. So Mike said it. Mike's promised a playoffs. He's willing to put money on it. So just message him and make bets with Mike. The Orlando Magic are going to the playoffs this year. They could definitely get in there. I agree with you. What else, Mike? Anything else we didn't talk about? Talk to me. Jordan stuff. You got any plans in the future? You got any plans? Any particular direction, or you just go kind of where it takes you? Like you're just like on eBay, you got some saved searches like me and like the rest of us guys, and like when stuff pops up, you make moves and you move cards to gather funds to make moves on cards. Do you have any game plan? Do you put any thought into like a structured framework? You sound like a very organized person, so I think maybe you might have something written down or something.
So when I search for Jordans, any search that I have saved is just for the cards I'm looking for. I don't have Michael Jordan 96 PSA saved. Otherwise, I'll get distracted and I'll venture off a little bit. So I'm just going to stay in that lane for now. I do want to eventually get an autograph, but I'm just so picky when it comes to signature, color, the location, how nice it is. Yeah, he does have a nice autograph. So when that day comes, I'll pull the trigger, and then I don't know. I'm more of a behind the scenes collector. I've always been, I just posted all my cards, not all of them, but some of them that I showed today on my Instagram account, just to, so when you introduced me, there was somewhere people could be directed to, but maybe becoming a little more public with my collection, because I know that's a great way to knock down barriers and find cards that you're looking for. I'm still, there's a lot of guys in our group who are so in the know that they're like, the TMZ of card reporting, and they,
Amazing. I know. It's like, God dang, y'all have jobs. I know y'all have jobs like me. What the hell? How are you constantly revealing these stories, right? These behind the scenes stories. This person bought this from this person on this day for this amount. And I'm like, dude, what in the hell are y'all doing all day?
So I'll continue to stay out of that. That seems to be on lockdown, and there's, the hobby moles are.
Yeah, that's not my style either.
It's awesome how much information gets
well.
flows
Look,
our way.
I appreciate you coming on the channel. If there's anything I can do for you, all you've got to do is reach out and message me. This will not be the last time you come on the channel, I promise. So keep grinding, keep growing the collection. Anytime you run across duplicates or I run across duplicates, I'd be happy to help you and reciprocate. You're somebody I've come to know and trust and respect in the hobby. And so having you on the channel is a privilege for me. And I'm glad you could be a part of this hierarchy project, because you've kind of been following from the sidelines and watching me and Josh talk about stuff, get most of the stuff right, but we say some stuff that's wrong too. It's a lot of information, so we're trying. But I appreciate your support, and I'm happy you can come on the channel today.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Thanks for having me. And I just wanted to mention how awesome this project is, because all of us Jordan collectors, what you've done pretty much lives here for the most part.
Yes.
We all know this information. There hasn't been a central location that can be used as a great resource for us, even. And then for those who want to collect Jordans. So, when the aliens come, they'll have a Jordan resource if they don't already.
Well, if they abduct the 20 people that are in our Jordan group chat, there would be no way to do it. So I'm like the scribe that's taking all the information and all the smart people stuff out of their brains, and I'm doing my best to kind of put it in one place to kind of help new collectors jump into the Jordan market and find the passion and the joy that we have when we collect Jordan cards as well. I'll be honest with you. I've talked about Jordan cards a lot the last 90 days, and I'm not going to say I'm burned out, because I'm not, but it would be fun to go back to doing a couple of sets and some non-Jordan stuff, and maybe even picking up an Anthony Edwards card or something completely randomly out of the blue. It might feel good to do something different pretty soon. So, but anyway, thanks for the kind words, and thanks for coming on the channel.
Kobe's a great vacation from Jordan. So if you ever want to,
I can't go there. I can't cross that threshold. It's either or for me. Sorry. Sorry. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Keep collecting, stay positive in the hobby, and peace.